You are now listening to the HBCU Wall Street podcast.
Hello, Aggies. This is Miss Fred from Carolina Chicken and Waffles. This episode of the HBCU Wall Street podcast is sponsored by Carolina Chicken and Waffles, the home of our family famous fried chicken and waffles. Aggie pride.
Carolina chickens and waffles.
How's the chicken?
So good.
Man, it was amazing. The food tastes like it looked.
I mean, no offense to my grandma, but your chicken's better, so.
That chicken was so good. I told him if my mama was on the throat, I'd come up there and slap the hell out of her. Cause it was good like that.
You're drinking a beer that tastes like home, reminds you of Washington, and your good old-fashioned chicken and waffles. It's great.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Aggies Excel. Today we have the awesome Candi TJ with us. How are you today, Candi?
I'm good, Rashad. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk to you today and share with your audience whatever we vibe on today, you know?
Absolutely. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. So I'll let you do this. So just give like maybe a 30-second introduction, 30 seconds or less, and just tell the people who you are.
Well, I am Candi TJ. That's also my handle on all social media, CanditJeter. I am. And I coach women in midlife on emotional mastery. It's not just women. I do have some men that I work with, but mostly women, because women are the ones who, squeaky wheel, and women can communicate and speak up a lot. But so that's what I've been doing over the last few years. And I really, it's been really rewarding, especially in this day and time, coming off the pandemic and things like that. So I found it to be very useful.
Got it. Now, you mentioned the pandemic, which is real for all of us in different ways. How much of a spike did you see from your client base that really needed more help mastering their emotions because of what happened in the pandemic? What did that look like?
It was a lot. I was very busy during that time. And it was mostly due to the fact that people were either going through, it wasn't as much financial as it was relational. Mm-hmm. It was really weird. I did expect a lot more people being more stressed out about their finances, but people were coming to a turning point in their life. They had stopped the hustle and bustle, and they were taking inventory of friends and family and, co-worker relationships, all of those things. They were really looking at their environment a lot more. So coaching around that tend to focus around that mostly.
Gotcha. I know it's a funny story. I remember one time, one of my co-workers, I will never forget, and this is going to lead into another question I'm going to ask you. We were about maybe 3-4 months into the pandemic, and we were on a Zoom call. We was waiting on one of our clients to join, and we had all gotten on that early. So he was like, "Listen, we got a couple of minutes. I just have to tell somebody." And listen, y'all, I don't think I really like my family. And we started laughing, but his face did not change. He was like, "No, I'm serious. Like because I'm used to seeing him maybe in the evenings for a couple of hours, maybe on the weekend." He was like, "But we're all together all day, every day." And he was like, "I don't like this at all." And we laughed, but he was dead serious.
Wow.
And it was just like, that really started my wheels to thinking, like, how many of us are doing things because of situations versus this is what we really want to do, or expectations of society versus this is what we really want to do. And my question is, with you and your clients, do you see that them making decisions because of expectations or because of what they think they should do, how does that affect their emotions negatively?
I think that, there's a certain part of our lives where we just have to do the things that we don't want to do, which is what I coach around. I don't try to coach people into getting out of obligations that are for the greater good, right? Because I think that's an issue that we've missed when we've tried to tell people that they need to follow their dreams, and encouraging kids to forget about family and just soar and all that kind of stuff. And then comes, when catastrophes come, we find that we need each other, right? So there's a balance in coaching people through hanging in there, because this too shall pass, but reaching their goals at the same time. It's a balancing act, right? And you can't have everything at once, all at the same time. Some things you do have to, release and let go of, So those are the things that we have to understand must take place, rather than people always trying to get out of their responsibilities.
Gotcha. Got it. So I'm gonna pivot real quick. I have a question for you. So, talking about the illustrious North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, when you hear the word GHO, what does that mean to you? What thoughts or ideas come up in your head? What immediately sparks when you hear GHO?
At this point in my life, exhaustion, connection, and some fun, reunions. Those are the things that come to my mind.
Got it. It's when I ask people, a lot of people say they use the word family or reunion because it's really like a huge family reunion / party / networking opportunity / all these other things. So it's an amazing time, and it's something. I mean, GHO, and now for me, of course, with me, GHO, it's fun and it can be a little tiring because me now, me handling business now every year doing GHO, me putting on Aggies Excel, the event every year. So there's a lot of work to it. So I feel what you're saying. But it's an amazing time for so many Aggies to come back and congregate. Now, let me ask you this. You talk about your business and your coaching, coaching women. Is that the main part of your business, and what you do right now is the coaching aspect?
That's the main part. I do speak. I write books. I create courses. But for the most part, people are looking for support, and speaking of, when I first started writing, I started out with 25 Thoughts About Your Destiny, which was basically just me writing about my experience at the time and those 25 lessons that I learned and the things that came with it. It was more of a journal. And whenever I write, I always write with my children in mind, because they are the next generation. And so I write in a way that teaches lessons that they can come back and pick up and read. And I like to write in a timeless, classical kind of way so that it never goes out of style. So that's why I really stick to mindset things, because no matter what the goal is, no matter what the culture's doing, no matter what the style of the day or the year or the month is, you always need to know where you are in all of this stuff that's going on around here. And so that was how my first book, 25 Thoughts About Your Destiny, came alive. And then my next one was 7 Steps to Letting Go, Even When It Seems Impossible. And this one was actually out of my course. It's the 7th step of the course. And it's the hardest part of the course because it's about letting go of your preconceived ideas and conditioning and paradigms that no longer serve you and things like that. And people really want to reach their goals, but they have a hard time letting those things go so that they can step into a whole new reality, right? So I just decided to pluck that step out and really expand on that. And that's how those things came about.
Got it. Now, I would say letting go is hard, especially, all of us as humans, we take a similar path where we're born and then, we're raised by our parents or family or whoever, and we go to school. And so in that process, we learn so many things throughout the years from our parents, from school, from classmates, from friends, from community. We learn so many things. And then you become an adult. And some of us, not everybody, but some of us start analyzing some of these things like, wait a minute. So I know this is what everybody said, but how does that serve me? Is that really good for me? Is that good for my journey? Is that good for my business? Is that good for me personally? And I think that is, you're so correct. Like that is a hard thing for some people to do because some people feel obligated to certain ideas, to certain practices, to certain traditions because their parents introduced them to it. And I love my parents. And so they can't disconnect their love or affinity or just comfortability with certain ideas from what really needs to happen for them to progress and move forward.
Exactly.
So I'm curious because that's huge. So let me ask you this. So in your experience with your coaching clients, how have you seen just in general, how have you helped people to work through that?
I think one of the main things is I take whatever it is that's useful from that conditioning part of their life and reuse it in this new way of being so that they can have something, because it's like a diet, right? You love macaroni and cheese, but you find out you can't have cheese. You find out you got to let go of some of the pasta, and you have to recreate. Some people have to recreate it just so that they can get to a certain point. Then eventually they find out that they don't need it at all. So we do a little bit of talking, figure out what it is that they feel like they just have to have. Some people have to have, the Jesus in the sky. Some people have to have the, some type of something like a cross, or they have to have something from their religious aspect that they just can't fathom another way of thinking. So because I have walked all those paths and I know what they mean, there's always a common meaning among all of them. And once you connect them to that common meaning, they have a life raft. Because I don't care how free people say they want to be, they always want something to depend on. And trying to get people to be fully free, which I don't know if that's, possible, but freer is a scary thing, And so to soothe their fears, because that's what I'm all about, making sure we reduce anxiety and increase emotional wellness. I don't want you to have this anxiety so much so, but sometimes anxiety is just excitement, of something new. And so I walk them through that. Like, you may think it's anxiety, you may think you are afraid, but you may actually be excited if you step back from the process a little bit and just embrace it,
Absolutely. That's really good advice. No, so let me break for a second. because a lot of times our viewers want to really know about the person. Like they're very interested in what you're doing business wise and how things are going, but they want to know about the person. So you, the person, Candi, let's say I said, here, Candi, here's $10,000. I'm gonna give you $10,000. The only stipulation is you cannot use this for your business in any way. Take a weekend and do whatever you want to do, whatever makes you happy, whatever type of fun you want, whatever it is. What would that look like for you? What would, if you have the time and the resources, what is it that would really be fun for Candi?
I think if I was to do that, if I had $10,000, that would be difficult to just spend it. Oh. First of all, I would probably get a piece of land somewhere in a place where I would want to go on a regular basis. But definitely somewhere by some water where I could just have some solitude, really, and just be. I find that to be very valuable. No agenda whatsoever, and to just take in all the elements. But I think some water would have to be involved somewhere along the way, and maybe even explore somewhere very new on an excursion or something like that, because I like to learn things as well.
Gotcha. That sounds like my type of getaway. I love the water. You know, you mentioned something. Some people find it very hard to just be. Like, I've been on vacation with people before and they have an itinerary. We're going to get up at this time. We're going to do this. And I'm like, wait, this isn't a vacation. Like, this is just another obligation. And I know some people live their life like that, where they feel like everything has to be planned out. And I'm like, I still wonder, like, how is your mental health? Because it just seems like there's a bunch of confusion going on in there. Like, some people just don't know how to be. Like, they can't just sit still and just relax and be. Like, they feel like they have to be doing something 24/7, every waking moment. I'm sure you've run into clients like that.
Yeah, I have family members like that. That's why when we go places together, they know, do not push Candi to go here and go there, because I'm not doing that when I go on vacation. I don't do that. I mean, unless I'm going to stay somewhere for 2 weeks, those first few days are going to be just me doing absolutely nothing. And if you're running me too much, I'm going to tell you to just go ahead. And yes, I do have clients like that. And even in our sessions, I allow for moments of silence, because even just doing nothing in a conversation, people have a hard time doing that, just space in a conversation, is important when, of course, like now people are listening, you don't want to have too much space, but in our personal conversations, just to be comfortable with some silence and not always having to have an agenda, something that you got to say. You don't always have to be funny. You don't always have to be smart. You don't always have to be entertaining. Sometimes just be, right?
Right. That's so important. Like, and that's something I know I was working on, because I felt like sometimes it was hard my mind goes 100 miles an hour all the time. Like, even though I'm a very laid back person, or I can be, my mind is constantly going, like thinking about what I need to do, when I need to do it. And I remember I just had to practice just relax and like, I'm not going to think anything. Yeah. I remember the first time I tried to meditate, I was like, this is not going to work. I think I got in a good solid 10 seconds and then it was just everywhere. And I was like, yo, this is crazy. And it let me know how just busy my mind was to just really try to sit there and not think about anything and just relax and just be. That is really hard for a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things where no matter how chatty your brain is, you're just supposed to sit there and let it be and do nothing with it. And I think now that we have cell phones, this checking a cell phone, I have to put mine in another room. Like I have to literally almost unplug everything because I'm a extremely curious person. And like you, I'm very laid back, but I have a lot of chatter going on in my mind, always have, because I'm extremely curious, right? What is that? What does that mean? And one thing leads to another. I'm always going down rabbit holes, right? And so meditation is important for people like us because we have to give it a break, or else you burn yourself out. And sometimes if you're really disconnected, you don't even realize you're burnout until you get sick. You're right. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, that's important.
That is so true. Now, let me ask you this, Candi. So if people were interested in your coaching services, they were interested in connecting with you, they were interested in just learning more about you, where could they go? Where, social media, website, where could they go to learn about you?
I am Candi TJ is my website, www.iamcanditj. That goes to everything. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook, website, pretty much everywhere.
Got you. Now, one last question. So I see your shirt says emotional mastery. And I think that's so important for everybody, for professionals, for students, for business owners, because sometimes your emotions can dictate what your life is. Like, and it shouldn't always, but when you look at your own growth and your own path, can you say that you're near the top of the chart of emotional mastery? And if so, how did you get there?
I don't know what the top of the chart is. I judge it based on, we teach each other about ourselves, about each other, right? So I base it on what's going on around me, the results of my life, and how people respond to me. And people are always saying that they feel a certain sense of calm around me, but that doesn't mean that I don't come unhinged, but I'm very intentional about becoming unhinged because sometimes we need to become unhinged. It's okay. You just have to know when you're doing it, being intentional. Again, I always go back to a diet. Just because you're on a lifestyle doesn't mean you never have a slice of cheesecake. Well, some people do, but that's not going to be me. And it's not going to be me to never be, to show certain types of emotion. Emotional mastery is about really feeling your emotion, knowing what it is that you're feeling and being able to communicate it clearly and having a sense of resolve regardless of the outcome and being very intentional with it. It's not that you are suppressing anything, that you have to lie or that you have to wear a mask. It's totally the opposite of that. So that's what emotional mastery is. So I think I'm in a good place, but there's always room for growth. And I will say for everybody, the closer you are in relationship, whether it's your kids, your spouse, your partner, the harder it becomes because that space to be whatever you need to be and to work it out is very small because you're having to act on a second, on a dime a lot of the times. You don't have time to think. And so your relationships, your close relationships will gauge where you really are.
Gotcha. Got it. Well, this has been insightful. Like, I really appreciate your time. And I think you really gave our listeners a real understanding of who you are and what you do. And even, listening to the whole conversation, you understand the importance of being able to know how to operate and help. What I'm trying to say is, the importance of being guided sometimes. Like, sometimes we need help. Sometimes we need someone to help guide us because it's easy to see, your life from your lenses, but sometimes you have no idea what it looks like from the outside.
Yes.
And so, and I tell people all the time, like, listen, everybody great I know had a coach. Like Michael Jordan had a coach. Tiger Woods has a swing coach. Because some people think, well, I'm good and I'm successful. Yeah, you might be, but in order to become better, sometimes you need somebody looking in from the outside saying, hey, I see this, maybe I can help you in this area, but you have to be open to it. So I really appreciate what you do. I know it's so important. And again, we thank you for your time and thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me. I look forward to meeting again on this platform with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you also we've gotten a little bit of a lane to how to start our emotional mastery from Candi Jeter. So I appreciate everyone that's tuning in. And this has been another episode of Aggies Excel, and we'll holler at you later.